Good morning. We're having some struggles. Two of our panelists are not on the Zoom. We're trying on the phone, trying to get them on right now. So we're going to just delay things. But hopefully, most of you are been over the last 24 hours paying attention to ESPN and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and the $450 million deal. I'm not excited at all about that, guys. So hope everybody had a wonderful and safe 4th of July. It was a great weekend just to hang out with friends and family, hopefully on lakes or pool or something like that. And hopefully everyone has all their fingers left. I always worry at my house, we blow up a lot of fireworks to make sure that nobody loses any important parts of their body. So guys, I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful 4th. We are going to have a panel of top producers: Ryan Potter, who I know is on the call, Julie Tartaglia, who I know is on the call, Mamie Jackson, who I know is on the call. I'm not sure if we got Sally and Diane yet. We're trying to get both of them on right now. Are all going to be talking about, you know, how they continue to grow their business. I know a couple of them told me that they're having their best year ever in spite of COVID. And the second thing we're going to talk about with them is, you know, what have they learned from COVID? Are there things that they changed in their business or they plan on changing that came out of this? So we're going to play a quick little video here. Can we do that, Gina?
Yes.
We're going to play a quick little video here. Hopefully by the end of that video, we're going to have the other two ladies on the phone for us. Thank you.
One second, Diane, hold on.
Sally.
The following are true stories. May 26, 2003, Aaron Ralston was hiking. A boulder fell on his right hand. He waited 4 days. Then he amputated his own arm with a pocket knife. On New Year's Eve, a woman was bungee jumping in Zimbabwe. The cord broke. She then fell into a river and had to swim back to land in crocodile-infested waters with a broken collarbone. Claire Champlin was smashed in the face by a 5-pound watermelon being propelled by a slingshot. Matthew Brobus was hit by a javelin. David Striegel was punched in the mouth by a kangaroo. The most amazing part of these stories is when asked about the experience, they all smiled, shrugged, and said, I guess things could have been worse. So go ahead. Tell me that you're having a bad day. Tell me about the traffic. Tell me about your boss. Tell me about the job you've been trying to quit for the past 4 years. Tell me the morning is a townhouse burning to the ground. Tell me the snooze button is a fire extinguisher. Tell me the alarm clock stole the keys to your smile, drove it into 7 a.m. and the crash totaled your happiness. Tell me how blessed are we to have tragedy so small it can fit on the tips of our tongues. You see, when Evan lost his legs, he was speechless. When my cousin was assaulted, she didn't speak for 48 hours. When my uncle was murdered, we had to send out a search party to find my father's voice. Most people have no idea that tragedy and silence have the exact same address. When your day is a museum of disappointments hanging from events that were outside of your control. When you find yourself flailing in an ocean of why is this happening to me? When it feels like your guardian angel put in his 2-week notice 2 months ago and just decided not to tell you. When it feels like God is a babysitter that's always on the phone. When you get punched in the esophagus by a fistful of life, remember that every year 2 million people die of dehydration, so it doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty. There's water in the cup. Drink that shit and stop complaining. You see, muscle is created by repeatedly lifting things that have been designed to weigh us down. So when your shoulders feel heavy, stand up straight, lift your chin. Hell, call it exercise. Remember that life is a gym membership with a really complicated cancellation policy. Remember that you will survive. Remember things could be worse. Remember we are never ever given anything that we can't handle. When the world crumbles around you, you have to look at the wreckage and then build a new one out of all the pieces that are still here. Remember, you are still here. The human heart beats approximately 4,000 times per hour, and each pulse, each throb, each palpitation is a trophy engraved with the words, you are still alive. You are still alive. Act like it.
I love that video. I think we played it probably a year and a half ago. But on these Zoom calls, we're trying to keep them shorter than we would typically do if we're in person to keep you guys' attention. So I know we got Sally on the phone and we're still working on Diane here, but I'm gonna run through some numbers real quick. Guys, you guys just have been killing it. You're bringing up the panelists as we're chatting here? Perfect. Last month, step back, May, 1,475 new pending transactions after we netted the deals that fell through in June out of there. Was the biggest month of all time. June beat that. In June, you guys did 1,533 new pending transactions. That is absolutely incredible to me. The amount of activity that's taken place here, the amount of business you guys are doing. I hear people saying that they don't have any time. They're totally exhausted because of the number of hours you guys are working. And the good news is for the first time in about 4 months, our number of listings in this year was better than our number of listings last year. And we still clearly have, because of the number of houses we're selling, a shortage of listings. But we had last year in 19, 769 new listings in the month. And this year, I see you, Diane, good to have you on there. And this year we had 800, so 31 more new active listings in the month of June than we did last year. I'm hoping that trend continues into July because we clearly need to get more listings if we're going to continue to sell houses like we have. So guys, great work. And the one thing that I always want to remind you, no matter how busy you are, it's absolutely essential that you make sure you keep finding time to prospect, to grow your business. And so let's, Sally, can you have someone shut those blinds behind you? We see the glare off the window, but we don't see your beautiful face. So thank you. Mamie, I don't want TJ popping in there causing any havoc for us, okay? So you keep him away.
Maybe has an issue.
Mamie has an issue too. Mamie she's frozen.
I don't think she has a microphone.
Oh, she doesn't have a microphone. This may be hard to hear her. So I know Ryan and Julie and Diane all like to talk, and Sally, so hopefully we won't have to extend their time. Guys, and I'm gonna go in the order as I see you. And I know Diane needs to get off here at 25 till the hour to get to another appointment. So I appreciate all of you taking time today to do this. And hopefully you all had a wonderful 4th of July. So let's dive into this. Ryan, if you could unmute yourself first, talk about, I think we've got Gina, you're controlling the mute.
Yes.
Gina's gonna control the mute. So you guys don't touch anything, but maybe work on getting a voice if you can. Talk about, Ryan, what are you doing for yourself and your team to make sure that you guys are staying crazy busy during these times right now and continue to grow your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're doing quite a few things. You'll hear me preach it over and over, and you preach it as far as like the relationship building and things like that. But, I think one of the things that's been generating a lot of business for us, which shouldn't be of any surprise, but social media. If you're not posting stuff like of what you're doing consistently, you're missing out on a ton of opportunities and engagement. And that would be the next thing that I'd say is when you're posting stuff. So when you're posting stuff that like, hey, congratulations to my sellers who just sold their home, and it's a picture of their house with emojis or whatever. And then you have people that write on that wall, like, don't ignore it. Respond back to those people, engage with those people, because we're starting to get leads, from that engagement, right? So if you just, oh, I got my post out there and I did it, and then you're not engaging with the people that comment on the post, it's meaningless to post. So, I mean, a couple of my agents do a really good job of that as far as every single time they get someone under contract, they're posting something to their page or whatever that's saying, hey, and you're tagging those buyers or those sellers in that post, right? Because then they're sharing it with all of their friends, and then that starts the whole engagement. So I would say you're missing out on a huge opportunity if you're not doing that.
Yeah, Ryan, I think that really kind of goes hand in hand with what we talk about on so many things. You can do a great activity, guys. You can go and do a nosy neighbor. You can go and do an open house. And we know they work. But if you don't have the follow-up system, you might as well not even do the activity. You go to an open house and get 6 people's names and then not follow up with them immediately, right, and get them information of value and continue to roll that system forward. Why do the activity? I tell people, don't waste your time doing the activity, even though we know with 100% certainty it works, if you're not going to have a follow-up system there. And that's what I really hear you saying. Yep. You talked about, when you started that conversation, you said you're continuing to build and nurture relationships. And I found that we're having, some tough times here. We're going to be having our first new agent party. Any of you who've been here over the years knows that we have new agent parties hopefully every 6 months. This one is planned out, I think 3 or 4 months ago that we're finally going to have. And we're going to have to break that up into 4 different parties to make that work. So we're not doing big client appreciation parties. So what are you doing to continue to have engagement to build and nurture on those relationships that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, for example, I can't remember if I shared this or not, but, you know, for a while there, like I went through like all of my lists that had families, right? So I found out who had kids, what was going on. I went to Eileen's Cookies. I spent $9.99 on cookie decorating kits, and I just went by and dropped them off on their doorsteps. And I was like, hey, make some memories with your family tonight. This one's on me, you know, just something simple. But again, it's like putting you point of mind, it's putting you in front of them. And then what took place as we're talking about social media, right, is like everyone started posting pictures of like them and their kids decorating cookies and giving you a shout out where they're tagging you saying, hey, thanks so much, Ryan Potter, the best realtor ever, you know, like dropping off cookies to our family tonight. And it's literally just like, I'm not looking to get any business out of it. It's showing them that like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hope you guys are doing fine. But it's generating business because then they take it upon themselves to share it with their friends and family.
Ryan, let me ask you one other question. Is that a double-edged sword? Because what we do is we want to do that. We want that engagement. We really want them to post on social media, but it kind of puts a burden on you to make sure that you're doing that to everybody that has kids, because otherwise someone may feel slighted in that process, right? So it kind of puts what I like about it is kind of commits you to do something for all these other people also.
Yep. So that's the other thing as far as, you know, now that we've done things with kids, now we're coming up with ideas as far as like, okay, now how do we go hit the other clientele that doesn't have kids? That's a young couple, that's an older couple. Like, what can we do to basically send them something or drop that off? The other thing too, like we've started doing, like sending out just like small, like flower packets or whatever with flowers and whatever. And just whenever we get a referral, we're sending them a gift card to coffee and like a packet of flowers that just says, hey, thanks for helping us grow our business. Just something small and weird, I guess, but it works. I mean, it generates a lot of people telling us thanks and thanks for thinking of us. Thanks for, you know, the coffee or whatever. It's just, you got to start showing your clientele that like you actually do care about them. And it's not just about a transaction. I've had 3 or 4 like different people come to me this last year that have said they worked with a realtor before and they never heard from them again, you know? And so It's like, well, now you're a part of our family. You're a client forever, you know? And that's like kind of the term that we use with them. And you're going to experience something completely different than you experienced with this other realtor. And that's what I'm big on with my team. And where we're moving forward is that, you know, like we're in the business of not only generating those referrals, but also continuing to generate that relationship with our clients moving forward. Like if you're not going to be on the team very long because we're all about the relationship.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm gonna go on to Julie. That's a good segue. And I love that play on words when he talks about delivering the flower seeds and talking about, you know, thank you for helping our team grow. Something that came out of earlier this year, and I think I shared this with you guys, the Millennial Think Tank for Berkshire Hathaway, the Rethink Council, was one of the girls was taking, what was it, Shannon, a little sample of vodka bottles and saying, a little taste testing of vodka or wine or something, like saying, to keep you in good spirits. So I like those little plays of words. And Julie, you know a little bit about spirits being in the bar business. I thought Z was going to pop in there and kind of run this. I didn't know the dog was going to pop in there and take over for it. So, talk about, you know, what are you and your team doing to make sure that through these times that you're keeping them focused and staying connected with your clients, and what are you doing to continue to grow your business?
I think the key is just circling back, constantly circling back. And I think, you know, it's not rocket science. Ryan is right. You just have to show people you care. You're not just after the business. But I think a big thing is reiterating interest rates right now. Maybe they're not looking to sell, but to be able to refer them on to somebody to refinance. Maybe they hadn't thought of that. So that's a great segue into having a conversation with clients, is by talking about interest rates, talking about the market.
Julie, when you're calling on interest rates, what are you coaching your people to say? Are you basically talking about the buying power they have and how much more they can buy today because of where interest rates are? And I think we often assume that because we know interest rates are below 3%, and I hope they'll have some rates from Prosperity here in the next 5 minutes, that everyone in the public knows that. I don't think they all do that. So what's that conversation sound like?
I think it's just basically, do you know what your interest rate is currently on your mortgage? A lot of people, I don't think even realize. So it's just revisiting their statement to see where their interest rate is at. And if they were considering buying, now's a great time. It's hard with so little inventory. You have to kind of be selective about your price range, I think, that you're referencing and talking to, but
Anything else that you're really focused on in regards to making sure that they're staying busy and growing their business?
I think we have a weekly email that goes out that, and we keep track of our stats. So I send out stats. Some of our team is more motivated by looking at numbers of where they're at, where they want to be, where they're looking to go than others. But I think everybody's on the same page. And we're really doing pretty well this year in spite of everything, which is interesting. I love the ideas of doing the little pop buys that Ryan was talking about. We haven't done that. Is this when I mentioned that I have COVID? I just found out I was tested positive for COVID this morning, so I will be home doing lots of phone calls and what?
Your darn daughter, right? These young kids are causing all this problem for us.
Yeah, my daughters went to a pride parade event on Sunday and then to the social bar, and were nice enough to share it with me. So I will be quarantining now, so I'll have lots of time to do, but I'm symptom free and I haven't been in the office anywhere. So I'll have lots of time to do HomeBot and emails and phone calls. So it'll be a good time to get with my clients.
Thank you, Julie. We're going to move on to Diane now. And I think we're still having some technical difficulties with maybe what we're going to hit Sally right after, because I know Sally, you're short on time. So Gina's going to unmute you. Gina's going to unmute you.
She did something. She has to do it now.
Okay, I guess you have to unmute yourself now.
Okay,
There we are.
there we go.
Thank you.
And of course, as soon as it's my turn, they're power washing my house, and you can hear it in the background.
That's okay. Trust me, when I'm on one of these calls, I was on a CEO call yesterday on Gina's computer, and the screen disappeared on me, and I'm just knocking on the wall as hard as I am because I'm up in like 30 seconds. So these technical difficulties, we're still trying to learn through this. So Diane, I think you told me that you are by far having your best year ever, and I think if I'm not mistaken, you're at about 23 million listed and pended right now, which is, I think, what you had all of last year. So you're really, really on fire. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's correct. No one's more surprised than me. So, but that's right.
So I guess a different twist on it versus, where's that business coming from? What are you doing to generate that business? Why do you feel like there's so much more business out there today than you've had in the past?
I do feel it's a lot of people wanting to get on the low interest rate, but I feel like almost all of it is from my sphere and referrals. So even if you feel like you're in a position where you can't do a lot of pop buys or stuff like that, sometimes I think it's just simply going on to your client's Facebook page, liking their posts and making comments and just staying in their realm of, they know you see them and vice versa. If anything, they might think twice if they were going to just use another agent. But I just think a lot of that, if you can't do it, or if you're staying quarantined, like I was for a while, you can just do so much of that from your phone and from your Facebook app. So I think that's been huge for sure. One of the things, I think part of it is what I don't do. I've learned how to delegate more. We have an admin. I can delegate more things. And I know Tanner's the same way now. We just won't show if you don't have a pre-approval or proof of funds. Like, in the past, I think if you feel like you really do anything, now it's just like, no. If you're like, well, we'll get one eventually. No, you needed to see the house. So I think, in all honesty, that drives your business up because you're using your time in a more wisely manner. So I think just being able to say no is honestly what's helped me the most, is what I don't do and what I say no to, and not trying to micromanage and just going out and trying to be a rainmaker. So that's been like life-changing for me, for sure.
Well, I think, I've talked, any of you who've been around me for years and years know I've talked about Darren Hardy a lot, but Darren Hardy really says that one of the things that separates the super achievers, the best from the rest, is that they learn how to say no to distractions. They learn how to be more effective and efficient in what they do. And I really do think, as I've seen this, as we came through COVID, I think that's one of the things that came out of here is versus running around showing people 15, 20 houses. It seems like done a better job of having them narrow that down, looking on the computer, narrowing that down to fewer houses and showing them fewer houses. Hopefully, as you're saying, only running around people that are qualified, that we know that can afford those houses and ready to go. So
Right.
better prepared we are, right? And the better prepared we have our clients, the more successful we're going to be, I think, in that process. So that's great. I appreciate that, Diane.
Okay.
Maybe we're going to go to you, and then Sally, I'm going to get you twice. I'm going to get you both questions as we head in and out of that, so because I know you're tight on time here. So maybe before we lose you again, do we have audio on you also?
I hope so.
Yes, we do. We do. Thank you for joining us. Talk about you and TJ and the team. You know, what are you guys doing to stay busy through this whole process?
Well, doing more reaching out to people who may not want to be on the market. I just sold my first buyer exclusive listing, and I think when I put it out on Facebook, we had 7 or 8 Berkshire agents sell it or show it, and we ended up selling it. So those people who aren't quite ready, I think I have 2 more coming up next week, because I just started asking people, you know, if I had a buyer. So doing a little bit more of that, it makes it less stressful for them. We let the agents and the people coming through know they're not show ready technically, but if it's in an area, which actually right now seems to be any area that's desirable, I think that's really working. So I'm going to keep that, just trying to connect people.
So Mamie, you're the 3rd person I've had this conversation with literally in the last 3 or 4 days that have put it, and this is, we're really talking about the brokerage pocket listing, right? We're not putting it out as a coming soon. We're not putting it out on MLS or anywhere else. But for some reason, I out of nowhere heard more of that. How do you, when you make that call to them, how are you having that conversation? How are you getting them to a point where you're being able to get that brokerage exclusive listing?
Just that, you know, specifically in my neighborhood, I've got one coming up that I was just talking to him. She's a friend, and we were just talking about her kids and who's going away to college. And she's got one. I said, she's like, we'll probably be selling, you know, in another year or so. And I said, well, everything's great now. What if there was somebody now? She goes, well, if the price was right and I could, you know, I'll get temp housing, or we'll go to Arizona sooner. And that's just kind of how it started. Just kind of seeing what their plan is for next year and seeing if that's something you can push up a little bit. So that's kind of how we're doing it. And if not, you know, those people, we just we'll keep them in obviously the pipeline and just keep nurturing those. But we've got at least a couple. And then one of the other agents in here, I'm not gonna say his name because I'm showing it to my people and I don't want anyone else looking at it yet, that he's got, you know, another exclusive, and I'm going to show it to my people who were on the fence, but since there's something out there, they're willing to look. So it's kind of cool. And since we've got 1/3 of the agents in the building or in the brokerage, I think our sellers at least feel good about that their house is being marketed and they're not giving it away to one person.
Yeah, and the more upper you go, the more of that market we dominate, to a point where we're even getting probably 60+% of those people doing that. So that's very cool. And I think that's something everyone really needs to think about, is when you're reaching out to your database, if they're talking about doing it later, talk about, you know, the market's crazy hot right now. We might be able to get you more money, you know, without putting a lot of pressure on you. Why don't we do this broker exclusive? Because with this shortage of listings that we have, even though we did more listings last month than we did last year at this time, we still don't have enough listings out there in the marketplace. So I love that conversation. The other is show of hands of any of you. Are any of you doing what I'm going to call mini client appreciation parties, where you're having smaller groups of maybe only 15, 20, no more than 25, where you're getting together? Because we can't do the big mastermind, the big client appreciation parties. I'm seeing mainly shaking of heads no. Okay, so maybe, and then Sally, we'll get to you talk about that, because you both raised your hand a little bit there.
Yeah, so for this COVID, summers were our big thing with our clients. We have a suite at Werner Park. We have 22 games that we bring out 18 people each game. It's like we hit almost everybody during the summer, and it kind of crushed us that we couldn't. Storm Chasers canceled their season, so we haven't been able to do it. So it's more calling out. I was talking to my assistant yesterday. I go, I just need to have a coffee. And well, I said I wanted to have a coffee, but then you can't even bring coffee. So Michelle had a great idea. She goes, why don't you just call them? Everyone's working from home, and tell them you want to drop a coffee off, which I thought was genius, because you can't go have coffee anymore. Maybe have a few minutes of a conversation at a door or something like that. But just doing something to connect, where, again, we all of our 4 hours at a baseball game, you had a ton of time to connect with people, and we lost it all. So trying to do a little bit more of that small stuff, definitely.
Perfect. And we have heard from many people in mastermind groups, the pop buys have been great success of popping by and giving them something or maybe you talk to them for a couple minutes, but at least it's something for them to remember you by. So I appreciate that. Mamie, we're going to circle back to all of you, but if we can, Gina's going to unmute Sally right now, and then Sally, we're going to dive in, talk about, I really would like you to talk about, where all the business is coming from, but I know in our conversations, you were on fire. Your numbers, I think you guys are, when I looked at the numbers, we're at $27 million closed as of a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about lake properties, and we do believe, I think any of us that have done anything, upper end, which is 500 plus in this, but the more upper end, the thing that's been on fire is always pools. I mean, I've never heard more people in my life saying, I'm getting a pool, or I want a house with a pool, but pools and lakes and stuff like that. And Sally, you sell a lot of those lake type properties. Talk a little bit, why do you think this frenzy is being created, and what's happening there?
Well, I actually had Lake Allure Lake Fest last week, which I didn't think I would be able to do. It's my 5th year doing that. And it was outside at a Nathan Homes new construction model home, which I got 2 contracts on at that event. Sold 15 lots. It was just crazy. And people felt like they could be safe and they could be outside. And I had a DJ, and I had prepackaged Parker's barbecue and prepackaged Jimmy John sandwiches, so they could take it and walk away and go on the beach. And it was, they just said, well, I don't want to wear a mask in the airport and go to the beach and wear a mask. I want to have something, and they, for my family. So that was the conversation.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I've kind of heard that same thing. Is there's a lot of estimates out there that travel on a plane to resorts, to Mexico, to the Caribbean, wherever you want to go, they're expecting that to be down for the next 2 to 3 years. And that's part of the big conversation on here is people like, well, if I'm not going to travel as much, then I want to make sure that I have a home that I can enjoy, that the family, that we can do things, fun things. And so I think that's been this big push for lakes and pools, and I'm going to call them entertaining type of houses. Does that make sense to you? That's what I'm kind of hearing you say.
Yeah, definitely. I've been with pools too. It used to be, 50-50 people like it. And now I think that's going to be 100%, even just with pools. I don't think it's going to affect your buyer pool at all.
Right. So what else are you and your team doing to make sure that you guys are staying busy? Because you guys are just having crazy numbers right now.
Oh, pop buys. That's a big thing. We just did a 4th of July pop by with a little bag of sparklers, and I've got everybody on a 4 times a year touch where I do pop by with things. I mailed masks. I've done gift cards to local restaurants. When I know they're in that area, like places in Elkhorn, Ashland, Gretna.
So when you're doing the pop-bys right now, are you leaving them on the step, taking a photo and texting them, or are you calling them in advance? What's your process?
You know what, I don't do that, Vince. I just drop it off and they text me or something, but I need to do that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I will improve myself on that.
Because I know we're going to lose you here in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pop into the next question. As we've went through this whole coronavirus COVID thing, what things have you learned out of there, whether it's social media, whether it's technology? Are there things that you've implemented in your business that have came out of this? Are there things that you've seen other people implement that you would like to implement? How has this changed the way you do business as you continue to move forward? Because I believe the reason for this question to all of you is I believe that we've got to use this as a learning experience to come out of this stronger and better than we went into this.
Yeah, definitely. I think stepping up on the social media, my two assistants that I have, one does Instagram, one does Facebook. I feel like they also need to, we were really good about going back and responding when people, like Ryan was saying, and then you get busy and you get lazy on it, right? Because I don't have time to be on social media, running every place. We started a drip campaign when we have new construction, people that come in, and we started open houses when we could, that second week of May. So people would come into a new construction, and I did videos and content that were important. How to finance new construction, how to stage your home, what's the best exterior paint colors to pick, something that was valuable, and then have them on an email drip for like 7 weeks, of follow-up. And then I can see, and who's opening, and really it's like 73% people are looking at that content because it's valuable. Videos, I don't have a problem with it. Even if I look stupid, it's okay. You know, just something natural, nothing, you know, nothing staged.
So that's
yeah,
good.
those are new. Those are new things.
So good. So stepping up the game in social media,
Yep.
engaging video as part of that. So I love it. You brought up new construction, which I think has been a big winner of that. Guys, again, yesterday, but it's pretty much every day. And not so much in the upper end, but please, 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 even if you have buyers, guys, I'm going to be a broken record until you get this right, because every single week we have this conversation with agents. Go register them with Celebrity, with, again, all of them, right? Anybody that's under 400,000 probably has a register system where you need to make sure that you're going out there for your buyers. Call those agents over there. Say, I'm sending somebody over. Protect yourself in that process, because almost daily we have this conversation with an agent saying a buyer went there and now they're utilizing this agent or that or something like that. And it just drives me crazy, because I feel like, you know, probably the 200 people on this call aren't the people I need to be talking to. It's the 700 people not on this call. But please, please, those of you guys are all running teams here. Tell your team members, tell those people around you, please go register. And even if they say they don't want new construction, it doesn't matter. So many of them are doing it right now because of the lack of listen. So Sally, you've got to run. Any parting comments or thoughts that you have before you take off here?
Yeah, I've had small groups at my house because I have a really outstanding outdoor space. So, you know, people again feel comfortable. I have worked with Pacific Life people that are now not even going to be bringing people in anymore. They're going to be all working remotely, but there's about 5 or 6 of them. So having the ladies over outside on a nice day, you know, for coffee or lunch or something, that just that type of thing, I would really encourage that.
So
And
smaller
even
get-togethers, which are really more meaningful details. You got to do more of them, right? But that small group of, I think you said, you know, 5, 8 people, something like that, get you connected, and it probably helps that build and nurture that relationship more than a client appreciation party ever could.
Right. And then having conversations too about home offices, you know, and I'm offering, hey, you know, this is my idea on the design part of things, is an item of value, how you can organize your office more efficiently. And I'm sure that there's organizers in Berkshire. Wasn't there someone that was doing organizing? Because I've had people ask me about that. There was an agent that was doing organizing. I mean, maybe we can find out who that is.
Yeah, I remember this conversation. I don't remember who it was though.
Yeah, anyway, but that's a big thing too, because they're having to work from home. They've got the kids running around, that, you know, their house is a mess. They feel unorganized. So perhaps
I know in Omaha you have that system called My Robin, which is a system which is, I don't know, $75, $80 an hour, which can come in and help do things like that for you. But I don't think that's what you're talking about, but that's one. Yeah. What? Carla Dubazar is doing some of that. So Sally, it's 25 till. That's what you promised me. So I appreciate we're gonna let you go. The rest of you hang on here. So Mamie, we're gonna head back. Thank you, Sally. Mamie, we're heading back to you. So Mamie, kind of the same question to you, and then one last one that I would like the rest of you to wrap up on also is you know, are you taking time and making sure that as you're crazy busy that you're disciplined enough to continue to reach out to build and nurture these relationships so this pipeline does stay full for the balance of this year as we head into next year. So COVID, start with COVID, Mamie. What have you learned out of this? What are things that you've implemented or you've upped your game on because of it to make sure that you're staying connected and communicating effectively and efficiently with people?
Yeah, well, couple things with COVID. One is I was a stickler. We just rehired my old assistant who had moved to Kansas City. And I thought I was a stickler. Someone had to be in the office. Someone had to be in the office. And I realized, no, you don't. So Michelle has rejoined us and kind of bringing a fresh eyes on things, which is always great to get somebody from the outside looking in. And then just what everyone is doing with COVID, just reaching out, whether it's through social media, phone calls. Really, I've gotten better at commenting, not just, and they say, don't just like someone's comment or photo, make a comment on it, like what Ryan said. I wasn't on in the beginning because I was having difficulties, but I know Brian's big on that. Don't just like it, say something about it, and you usually get a response back from that person. Shows that you're a little bit more engaged. And just really trying to connect with them. Again, asking about kids, the pop buys. I think at the beginning of summer, I did sunscreen, you know, have a safe summer, things like that. But I think that more than anything right now is really what's happening. The conversations are coming up, obviously, about COVID, and you know, I do know it is real. I have a girlfriend, and her husband and 16-year-old daughter are both very sick right now here in Omaha with COVID. So it's not all asymptomatic. And just like for her, like I drove by and I know they can't. So, you know, we are all getting the weeds in our yard. So my kids and I are going over there tomorrow to like work on her mold, you know, because stuff they can't go out and do right now. And it certainly is not a priority. But just things like that, seeing what people need and kind of filling that need somehow.
Now, she's growing weed in her yard. Is that legal in Nebraska now?
Yeah. Yeah. Weeds.
Oh, weeds. Oh, weeds. Well, come over here when you're done over there, will you? Last thing for you then, Mamie, and please stay on because we'll have a wrap-up question is, you know, what are you doing? Because it sounds like you're doing a great job. How are you making sure as busy as you are? How are you, you know, is it time blocking? You know, what's your system? Is it a to-do list? How are you making sure that you're staying in touch with all of these people to make sure that that pipeline does stay full and you don't miss any opportunities here?
Well, you know what? One of the things we're doing is we were all old school like Megan, still using an Excel spreadsheet. And we really decided to we're moving to a CRM. And just in moving to the CRM and calling each one of those people as you're adding them to the CRM, updating their information. Because one of the worst things in the world, this is for everybody out there, one of the worst things in the world is when you want to send a mailer out or do something and you send something to somebody and their spouse has passed away and you have addressed it to both, or they've gotten a divorce and you've addressed it to both. So really take this time when it's a little bit quieter. I mean, you've obviously, or hopefully you've heard about if those things have happened, but make sure you're clearing your databases. This is a great time to do it. Go through the database and call those people while you're doing it, check in with them. Maybe something did happen in their life you're unaware of. There's a birth of a child or something like that. And just really, that's what we're doing right now, because unfortunately, I know several of the spouses of our clients have passed away in the last few months. And we just really want to just keep those things updated. And we're going through it and doing that as we add them to the new CRM, we're making the phone calls.
Perfect. Any parting thought that you have for everybody to make sure that they continue to stay focused and busy?
I think the businesses out there that don't use this as an excuse that it's COVID. I mean, make the phone calls and call the people, and you don't, like Ryan always says, it doesn't need to be about real estate, but when the conversation, it automatically evolves into a real estate conversation. And if you can get those people just at least, yeah, we're thinking about an X amount of months, people are always moving sooner than they say they are. So don't let them go. Be a dog with a bone and just keep following up with them.
Yep, perfect. Thank you very much.
What CMR she's using.
The question is, what CRM system are you using? Now, since you've already thrown Megan under the bus for her spreadsheet.
I know, but look how successful she is. Buffini is the one we're going to.
Buffini, thank you. Diane, Gina's going to unmute you here. COVID, what have you learned from this? What systems have you put systems, and if you have, what systems have you put into place done this, through COVID, and how have you upped your game through this whole process?
Definitely, we're using Lion's Desk, and that's something that the admin has helped me to be able to do, because I feel like it's just very time consuming, as anyone knows who's tried to start in the middle of your career, you know, to go to a CRM. And then just make sure I'm touching base. Sometimes, you know, it's just because like right now I'm being careful because I actually probably been canceling my time because I have a fever. But so if you don't feel like you should be knocking on someone's door, I think just sending them a text or a just texting them, calling them, Facebook messaging, sometimes I think goes just as far, you know, and staying safe. When it was earlier in and nice outside, we like had a fire pit in our driveway. We had a couple of clients over, but pretty much keeping it most to just touching base, you know, not in person.
It seems like through this whole process, we've all kind of become more mindful that we need to reach out to these people more. I think Ryan, it was earlier in the process, said, you know, I got a client that we never used before, they used another client. And the statistic that always drives me the most crazy is not that 80-some% of people said they would use it, and only 12% do. It's that a year after we do a transaction with them, 50% of people don't remember who their agent is. That makes me almost go insane. I mean, that's just pure and simple, us not staying in touch with them and being top of mind with them. So last question here for you, your follow-up. I mean, how are you, you're very disciplined. I know that about you. I see you typically in the office religiously in the evenings and stuff like that. How are you making sure that you're time blocking, or what are you doing to make sure that you continue to reach out to those people so that pipeline stays full for you and your team?
Sometimes I feel like I'm so busy with appointments and stuff that my personal time ends up when I'm reaching out, which I know isn't effective or what I'm supposed to be doing. But let's be real, a lot of our clients do become our friends. So if I'm just taking some chill time and laying down or whatever, that's when I'll just touch base and send messages and like stuff on Facebook. So I probably have the most work to do on time blocking for sure. But it's working. And lately I've been better about asking people for reviews or for referrals. That's something that I've definitely improved my skills on.
Good, because I think that's a mental roadblock so many of us have, that we don't do a great job of. We do a great job of continuing to build and nurture relationships with people in our database that we know, but it seems like there's always missed opportunities from us asking for that referrals from them. So good job on that. Any parting thoughts any that you want to say to anybody before we finish up with you here?
It's obviously been quite a roller coaster, and goes to show you that the world can be like going crazy, but the market's still strong. So I think a lot of us are kind of just surprised and in shock about that. Some of us were hoping for a vacation, but that's not going to happen. So I just, and then just stay tough. Just even for me, the roller coaster of the testing and retesting and stuff, and not feeling so great. And then Tanner having had it, that's most of our team. There's basically 3 of us. So when your whole team feels affected, it's definitely nice, I think, to have a 3rd or 4th person. So if you don't feel good, someone can show for you. You don't want to take any chances, and I hope nobody does, because there's definitely false negative tests that have happened to a lot of people. So I would just say, I think if you're not on a team, maybe have somebody that you work with and that you can help cover for each other, for sure.
Yeah, and that has become important in this process. As people, Julie says she's quarantined here for a while. You were quarantined here a while, so having a support system and having someone to help do that.
For camaraderie, I know that not everybody is a total people person, but I'm the kind of person, I don't have a team, definitely for income generation, but more or less for support and camaraderie. So I think that's huge, especially right now. I don't think people realize how lonely they might be until they see people. So I think it's just so good to have a support system. So if you're not on a team, just reaching out to people and saying, hey, can we just chat or can I vent? Sometimes you just want to vent, so. Yeah.
I giggle when you make that comment. I don't have a team for, and we're going to go to Julie next here for income generating purposes, but because I've had that conversations with many team leads over the years, not just 1 or 2 of you. So because sometimes I'm like, why do you have a team? And the answer sometimes has been, quite honestly, is because I like the environment. We kind of are like a family. We're a group. We do things together. And so just understand what the reason is, because most people always think I'm doing a team to make a whole lot more money. That's just not always the case. Diane, thank you for that. Continue to hit it out of the park. Julie, a couple quick questions. I know we're going to get off this call. We're going to run out of time here. So, what are you doing to make sure that you and your team is continuing to touch base? We're not doing the client appreciation parties. We're not being able to do things we've done in the past. What are you doing as they're staying busy? Because you've got some busy team members. You obviously are very busy. You and Shannon opening up the new agent store with nobody in the office, and hopefully somebody will come back to the office and why don't you talk? I'm going to switch it on you a little bit. I'm going to give you your last couple minutes. Talk about the little store that you guys are doing and tell the agents what that's about, and then give your parting thought if you could, and then we'll finish up with Ryan here.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm so bummed. I'm going to wallow in self-pity for a good 24 hours, and that's.
We'll bring some vodka and put it on your front desk.
The best thing about our team is we allow each other to wallow for a very short period of time, and then we lift each other up. And with Diane, that's one of the best things about our team, is just having the camaraderie to pick each other up when we're not. It's not a physically feeling bad, but just a mentally, I'm really bummed. But anyway, and we do use the Buffini CRM referral maker too. So it's a great time to be able to delve into that and really follow up with clients. But the agent gift store is right outside the elevators on the 2nd floor. And it's just a store for agents to go to buy closing gifts. for their clients. We can bag them up for them, have them ready to go. It's home stuff, it's personal stuff, it's feel-good stuff. There are baby gifts, wedding gifts, housewarming gifts, anniversary gifts, leaving town gifts, and just stuff for people at home too, so for home design. So we aren't opening this week, obviously. I can be out of quarantine next Monday, so our plan is to have our grand opening next Tuesday. So God willing, and the good Lord shining on us, we'll be able to do that.
So thank you. Any parting thoughts that you have, Julie, for everybody?
You know what? It's all about choices. I say that all the time. Make good choices, no excuses, no regrets. My kids know that's my motto. And we all make choices, and it's how we respond to those choices and the outcome that gets us through. So I'm all about feeling bad for a day, but after that, you have to make the choice to keep plugging along. And like Diane and Ryan and Mamie have all said, the market is amazing right now. So it would be a shame not to embrace that just because you make the choice that you're going to wallow in self-pity the whole time, not just 24 hours.
Right.
Ah!
So this is probably a good video we played for you earlier, talking about, what's the difference between a real problem, right, and hurdle, and
That's what I thought when I saw that. Amen.
some of our self-imposed issues. I mean, still much more good than bad. So Julie, thank you. We appreciate having you here with us. Ryan, we're going to unmute you and then wrap this thing up and let everyone get on with their busy day. So Ryan talked about, the learning process. I know you love to always continue to grow and develop and take your business to the next level. What has COVID taught you? How are you and your team going to be better? What have you stepped your game up here through this, and how are you going to move forward?
Well, I mean, I can say for me, and I've been saying this from the very beginning of COVID, is that it's a mindset, right? Like, you can sit at home and you can drink your wine and you can take pictures and be like, well, I'm going to wait it out. Or you can put your foot on the gas and you can continue to go forward. And that's literally what we did the last 3 or 4 months. And, we're seeing the results of that. We're probably going to hit what we did last year by the end of July into August. And so we'll still have, a couple more months there to add on top of that. So I think, at least for me, it's been mindset. It's been okay, so things have changed. How do I pivot? How do I, adjust to what's been happening in our market, or what we're doing from a relationship standpoint or a team standpoint or whatever? How do we still continue to keep going despite the things that are happening outside that we can't control, right? A big thing that I've been telling my students and myself is control the controllables. You can only control the controllables, and I can control when I'm going to get up and go to work today. I can control what I'm going to do with my time. I can control those types of things, right? I can't control what the rules and regulations are with COVID and what all these other things are. But at the end of the day, I control what I'm going to make and what I'm going to do with my business. And so it starts with that mindset of, all right, I can wake up today and I can not get dressed and I can sit in my pajamas and sweatpants, or I can go to work and I can go grind and I can get after it, and things don't have to change drastically as a lot of people have said they have. So I think for me, it's just, and for our team, I think it's just mindset. If you're, you'll see Danny, for example, on my team, he's already young gun. He's past 10 million. He's killing it right now. And it just all started with his mindset. I'm just going to continue to grind and continue to go, and I'm not going to let any of these things stop me. And so those are the things that I think keep an agent going, is you control what you're going to do. You can control what you're going to go out and accomplish, Yeah.
I really believe, we've talked about mindset for years and years, those who've been around, but through something like this, I really think it's a double down on mindset, right? How do you start morning routines? How do you make the decisions to put yourself in a positive state of mind to continue to move forward and be productive? So I love that. How are you keeping, real quick, because I know we're running out of time here, real quick, what are you doing to make sure that you and your team is staying engaged to continue to build and nurture those relationships? Are you time blocking things out? Is it on a to-do list? What is it? Is it as you're driving from appointment to appointment? There's no right or wrong way here, but you've got to be focused and disciplined on understanding, no matter how busy I am, being busy is not an excuse not to continue to prospect and grow your business.
Right. Yeah. I still time block. Like I time block, and I basically, for 1 hour, it's at least follow up with current transactions that are going on or with current leads. And then the next one is prospecting for another hour. So like, I try to do those two things every single day. Do I necessarily get to them every single day? No. But like, I time block that in there where it's like, if I'm not out showing or I'm not out on an appointment with someone, that's what's happening within that hour. So I don't get sidetracked. I literally like get in, knock things out, move on to the next thing. I've started a to-do list. So somebody else was talking about, like saying no and handing things off to their admin and those things. Like, as my team grows, I'm constantly thinking about like, what are the things that I need to do less of and delegate more to? And then as I do those things, it's literally like there's an app called To Do. Like, I've added my assistant on it. I've created a to-do list for her. As things come to mind, or I'm traveling from one thing to the next, or I'm out on an appointment and I forget to do something, like I literally just type in a thing right there. I add it to the to-do list. She gets notified, and like I mark it as urgent or not urgent, so she knows like, okay, is this something I need to get on right now, or is this something that can wait till tomorrow? Like, but she then knows, like, as I communicate back and forth with her, what's important and what needs to get done. And then honestly, the next thing that I know, my next hire is going to be an ISA. Like, I need something now. Like, as we continue to grow, I can't be everywhere every single time. And unfortunately, one of those times is like, if something's going to fall through the cracks, like a lot of that's going to be sometimes follow up with incoming leads that are coming or that type of thing. Now I can just hire an ISA to come do a lot of that stuff to make sure that every single day those leads are being followed up with. And I mean, literally drove back from the Smoky Mountains like this past week, and my wife drove from St. Louis back home, and I was literally just on my phone and my laptop for like 4 hours just following up with old leads, and like 5 or 6 appointments got set up this week. So it's like, if you're not doing that, you're missing out on business. And my wife's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm following up with my leads. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, she just saw me over there just like texting, going on to the next, like just texting, going. But it's like, I have to do it because I know that if I don't, like, my business is not going to continue to grow.
Perfect. I love that discipline. ISA is inside sales agent, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
someone is going to make those calls for you. That's going to help keep generating business.
Yep.
Final parting thoughts here, last 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've started doing that I think makes my clients feel more appreciated. I stole this idea from Gary Vee because he was talking about it, but he's like, he's a huge Jets fan, right? And he's like, what if every single time when I went and stayed at a hotel or I went to one of these places, somebody had like a Jets hat or like a Jets jersey or something that was out laying for me? Would I come back to that hotel? Like, absolutely. They made it personal, and so I've started to make a lot of my closing gifts personal, like figuring out, like making an extra effort to figure out, like, what do those people like to do, or what do they like, as opposed to just being like, oh, here's a $50 gift card to pitch, or here's a bottle of wine. Like, who freaking cares about that? Like, everybody does that. Make it personal. And so that's one thing that we've kind of started to implement too.
Yeah, the more memorable it is, the more they're going to talk about you. So I love it. Ryan, thank you. We appreciate all of our panels. Thank you very much for your time, your input. And again, we love this attitude of abundance. We love that you guys are more than willing. Every one of you I called, you're more than willing to get on this call. So I appreciate you guys being willing to share what you're doing. And sometimes these just seem like simple little things. But I think the more we hear other people doing these things and the success they're having, we need to figure out, all of us that are sitting out there, figure out what's 1 or 2 things that we heard today that we can go incorporate into what we're doing to make us more productive. So Ryan, thank you. I'm going to give you guys what rates are. I heard a number of you talking about interest rates, guys that continue to be at all-time lows. Prosperity upstairs, 30-year fixed, 2.75%, so 2 3/4 on a 30-year fixed conventional. On a 15-year fixed, 2.25. FHA is 2.65. VA is 2.65. And again, I hope I have this right, but I think on that through Prosperity, we're paying for, I believe, the loan app fee. Is that right, Shannon? Gina, did either one of you know? I think we're paying for the appraisal or the closing or something. So I'll get that out to you. And then the jumbo rate, which is unbelievable. A jumbo rate is 2.875. So guys, great job. Stay out there, stay busy, reach out to us. Mastermind groups real quick. We're having them live. You know, we were going to do this live. We've had kind of an additional breakout. You just heard Julie talk about she tested positive from her daughter. So she's quarantining. Diana quarantined because Tanner had got it. So we're going to continue to do sales meetings right now through at least this month on Zoom. But, and I hate that because our attendance is quite honestly half of what it was in the beginning. We've lost some people on these Zoom calls, but those of you that are tuning in, thank you. But mastermind groups, we're going to do in-face live, but we're going to try to create a Zoom by the end of this week, a Zoom option for that as we continue to move forward. So guys, our time is up. I want to tell you, I appreciate you. Please stay insanely focused. Reach out to me or anyone on the management team if we can help you any way to continue to grow your business. But we appreciate you. You're doing a great job. We are dominating the market. So I love when I drive around. People think I'm crazy. Shannon's kids are like, why are you always talking about how you love all those Berkshire Hathaway signs? Because you guys are killing it. So have a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Continue to focus on growing your business, building and nurturing relationships, and make sure you take time for yourself, your family, your friends to do the things you love. Take care. Bye, guys.